Hi learners! Now that you have a fair idea of the concept of ethics and the stakeholders of research, let's now discuss ethical issues to consider concerning research participants. There are many ethical issues to consider in relation to the participants of a research activity. The first is collecting information. One could ask, why should a respondent give any information to a researcher? It may be considered unethical to disturb an individual even if you seek permission before asking questions. Research is required in order to improve conditions, and if any piece of research is likely to help the society indirectly or directly, it is thus acceptable to ask questions, though it's good if you first obtain the respondent's informed consent. Before you begin collecting information, you must consider the relevance and usefulness of the research you are undertaking and be able to convince others also for this. If you cannot justify the relevance of your research that you are conducting, you are wasting your respondent's time, which is unethical. The next is seeking consent. It is considered unethical to collect information without the knowledge of participants and their expressed willingness and informed consent. Informed consent implies that subjects are made adequately aware of the type of information you want from them, why the information is being sought, what purpose it will be put to, and how they are expected to participate in the study, and certainly how it will directly or indirectly affect them. It is important that the consent should also be voluntary and without pressure of any kind. The third issue is providing incentives. Some researchers provide incentive to participants for their participation in a study, feeling it to be quite proper as participants are giving their time, while others think that the offering of inducements is unethical. But it has been observed that most people do not participate in a study because of incentives, but because they realize the importance of the study. Therefore, giving a small gift after having obtained your information as a token of appreciation is not unethical. However, giving a present before data collection is unethical. The next is seeking sensitive information. Information sought can pose an ethical dilemma in research. Certain types of information can be regarded as sensitive or confidential by some people and thus an invasion of privacy. Asking for this information may upset or embarrass a respondent. However, if you do not ask for the information, it may not be possible to pursue your interest in the area and contribute to existing body of knowledge. For most people, questions on sexual behavior, drug use, and shoplifting are intrusive. Even questions on marital status, income, and age may be considered to be an invasion of privacy by some. In collecting data, you need to be careful about the sensitivities of your respondents. The dilemma you face as a researcher is whether you ask sensitive and intrusive questions. It is not unethical to ask such questions, provided you clearly and frankly tell your respondents the type of information you're going to ask and give them sufficient time to decide if they want to share the information with you, and that too without any major inducement. The next is the possibility of causing harm to participants. When you collect data from respondents or involve subjects in an experiment, you need to examine carefully whether their involvement is likely to harm them in any way. If it is, you must make sure that the risk is minimal. Minimum risk means that the extent of harm or discomfort in the research is not greater than that ordinarily encountered in daily life. It is unethical if the way you seek information creates anxiety or harassment, and if you think it may happen, you need to take steps to prevent this. The next is maintaining confidentiality. Sharing information about a respondent with others for purposes other than research is unethical. Sometimes you need to identify your study population to put your findings into the context. In such a situation, you need to make sure that at least the information provided by the respondents is kept anonymous. It is unethical to identify an individual respondent and the information provided by him or her. Therefore, You need to ensure that after the information has been collected, its source cannot be identified. In certain types of study, you might need to visit respondents repeatedly, in which case you will have to identify them until the completion of your visits. In such situations, you need to be extra careful that others do not have access to the information. It is unethical to be negligent in not protecting the confidentiality and anonymity of the information gathered from your respondents. The next is avoiding bias. Bias on the part of researcher is also unethical. Bias is different from subjectivity. Subjectivity, as mentioned earlier, is related to your educational background, training, and competence in research and your philosophical perspective. Bias is a deliberate attempt either to hide what you found in the study or to highlight something disproportionately to its true existence. It is absolutely unethical to introduce bias into a research activity. If you are unable to control your bias, you should not be engaging in research. It is the bias that is unethical and not the subjectivity. Thank you.